You're watching as the Bradley successfully deploys a Ukrainian assault team, ready to take on an enemy trench. With the mission accomplished, the vehicle starts to pull back, only to face some serious trouble. An enemy FPV drone targets the Bradley, but fortunately, it gets caught in an anti-drone net. However, the crew barely has time to catch their breath before a Russian anti-tank missile strikes the vehicle. Incredibly, the Bradley withstands the hit, once again proving its reliability on the Ukrainian battlefield. And that's just a glimpse of what you'll see in this video. One story will definitely give you chills as it reveals the harrowing experience of a soldier who survived inside a disabled Bradley for a full 6 days. But first, let's rewind to what Ukrainian troops felt during their first encounter with this American IFV in 2023. The vehicle impressed us from the very first minutes of combat. When we started taking machine gun fire, it felt like raindrops were falling on the armor. Everything's great. We just keep rolling. And this was before Bradley played a crucial role in Ukraine's southern counteroffensive in the fall of 2023. Ukrainian forces grew even fonder of the vehicle after seeing how it offered superior protection compared to Soviet-era IFV-1s. Its strong armor makes a big difference. Even when the vehicle gets hit, the crew and passengers are usually safe, thank God. In fact, the Bradley's tough armor has saved troops even in mine blast scenarios. There have been instances in our operations where Bradley's armor saved Ukrainian infantry. I personally survived a landmine explosion and a direct hit from a shaped charge to the turret. Looking at the tablet, everything seemed fine. I was relaxed, thinking this vehicle is incredible. We started pulling back and hit a minefield. Suddenly, we were blown up. I looked up, saw stars in the sky, and realized what had happened. Without a doubt, this machine is incredibly resilient. Another field-proven testament to Bradley's reliability came from a Ukrainian soldier during one of the assaults in the summer of 2023. One vehicle took a hit on the left side near the driver. The armor got torn off, but I didn't even realize it had been hit until I got out and saw the damage. The hull cracked, but nothing catastrophic happened. Hit that like button if you're as impressed by the strength of American Bradley as this soldier. However, no matter how durable Bradleys are, the intense fighting on the Ukrainian front takes a toll on these vehicles. But according to soldiers of the 47th Mechanized Brigade, Bradleys are relatively easy to repair compared to their European counterparts. It hit a mine. We pulled it out, repaired it, and in 3 to 4 days, it was ready to perform missions again. Although, because of the harsh realities of the Ukrainian front, Bradleys cannot unleash their full potential. The reason? Mines. A hell of a lot of mines. We haven't yet been able to fully utilize its firepower because all our actions are restricted by the sheer number of minefields. The vehicles can't operate confidently in open terrain when mine clearance hasn't been fully carried out. This limits their movement. Right now, most of the time, Bradleys serve as a cover from a safe distance or to deliver personnel securely. If we operated in areas with fewer mines, I can confidently say we'd advance much further. Yes, tragically, the southern part of the Ukrainian front is very heavily mined. During counteroffensive attempts in 2023, Ukrainian troops often faced the impossible, advancing through minefields without even being able to wait for sappers. All fields are heavily mined with both anti-tank and anti-personnel mines. Unfortunately, we end up clearing these fields with our own feet because sappers don't always have the opportunity to clear a path for us. As one soldier from the 47th Brigade points out, these vehicles could deliver significantly better results in battles on other parts of the front, like Donetsk and Lugansk regions, where the mining situation isn't as dire. Despite the challenges of navigating minefields, the Bradley IFV continues to play a crucial role in countering Russian armor. Its robust armor and firepower make it an effective adversary, even against Russia's most advanced tanks. Take this video from January 2024, which went viral worldwide. Near Avdiivka, a Bradley destroyed Russia's most powerful tank, the T-90M Proryev. What's even more remarkable is that this battle took place at a very close range, as described by the Bradley operator who took out the cutting-edge Russian tank. The distance was about 200 meters, but when we first approached it, it was around 150 meters. No wonder the Bradley is often called a tank killer. If you want to see even more impressive victories featuring Western heavy weaponry, make sure to subscribe to our channel. The Bradley also took down a T-80 near Novokoprovsk using a TOW-2B anti-tank missile from nearly a mile away. This marked one of the longest tank kills in close combat. However, this is more of an exception than the rule, as the Bradley primarily serves to deliver infantry to the front lines and engages Russian IFVs as its main opponents. According to Ukrainian infantry, the Russian counterparts fall short across the board. When you compare it to Soviet-era equipment like IFVs and APCs, they're in entirely different leagues when it comes to protection. Here's an example. The Bradley wipes out 3 Russian MTLBs in just 30 seconds. And in January this year, a single Bradley crew managed to destroy 3 Russian IFVs in one engagement. Unfortunately, the number of Bradleys on the battlefield remains insufficient, and Ukrainian forces too often have to fall back on outdated Soviet models. This is especially frustrating for those who've experienced the American standard of quality. The only thing I'll say is, after riding in a Bradley, you really don't want to get into an IFV again. Soviet models are simply incapable of dealing with the unique challenges of the Russian-Ukrainian war. If we were operating in this theater of war with Soviet APCs, I can confidently say the brigade would no longer exist. With this density and number of mined fields, every IFV hit would mean losing a squad, with either fatalities or severe injuries. Meanwhile, Ukrainians joke about riding their Bradleys all the way to Moscow. But jokes aside, a video from October this year shows American Abrams tanks and Bradleys finally reaching Russian soil. Together, these machines played a crucial role in capturing Russian military positions in Russia's Kursk region, including destroying enemy fortifications with the TOW-2 anti-tank missile. However, perhaps the most incredible story involving this combat vehicle in the war took place during an assault by the 225th Brigade. In this harrowing event, a Bradley IFV became the sole lifeline for a Ukrainian soldier, keeping him alive for 6 long days. Our task was to reach a designated point, neutralize the enemy, and allow our team to take up a combat position. But as our group moved out, we didn't realize that the Bradley's drop-off point was already under enemy control. I saw movement in the bushes, started firing, and tried to direct the fire. Then I shifted slightly back and felt a sharp pain, like a burning sensation. At first, I didn't understand what had happened. I thought it might be shrapnel from the Bradley. I didn't immediately realize I was wounded. He later managed to provide first aid to himself, applying a tourniquet to his leg. However, his left leg was unresponsive, leaving him unable to walk. The situation grew even more dire when he realized he couldn't count on help. His comrades believed he was dead. My comrades assumed I was dead. I could only move using my arms, and eventually managed to reach the Bradley, where I saw that it was already empty. It's hard to imagine what this warrior endured in that moment, but the toughest challenges were still ahead for him. I spent 6 days inside the Bradley. During that time, I tried to figure out if I should try to call for help. At one point, I even shouted from the Bradley, but my comrades thought I was already dead and assumed it was the enemy trying to lure them into a trap. During those 6 days, the Bradley was hit twice by mortars and once by an FPV drone. At one point, the Bradley caught fire, so I kept a fire extinguisher next to me, knowing it could happen again. I decided to crawl out on my own. Over time, I tried to learn the patterns of when enemy and friendly drones would pass overhead. When I finally got out, I was lying outside the Bradley and started crawling. At this point, his goal was to reach his comrades, but the journey was excruciatingly difficult. I crawled for about 3 hours, covering roughly 7 yards. Every 5 to 10 minutes I shouted, telling them it was me. At that point, I didn't care anymore. I wasn't even sure if they were friendly forces, but I just wanted to reach someone. If they weren't my comrades, at least they would put me out of my misery instead of leaving me to suffer. Despite the constant drone activity, the raging battle, and the grueling crawl, he eventually made it to his comrades. When I shouted my call sign for the last time, saying that I couldn't crawl anymore because my leg was broken, I heard the voice of one of my comrades. This soldier was rescued and is now undergoing treatment. He survived thanks to incredible willpower and the toughness of the Bradley Fighting Vehicle. Could he have survived in any other IFV or APC? Share your thoughts with us in the comments.